Hello, it's Mary Ann from Sew Right. Today I'm going to talk about the Bernina circular attachment. This is the box that you would get. And this circular attachment fits on pretty much all of the Bernina machines. And in the box, you would get the little manual that explains how to put it on the machine. And this is what it looks like. You also get with it, there's two screws actually. I think they give you one in case you lose one. So you have this screw. And then there's these holes. So you're going to position it that it goes over this hole, the one on the left. Because if I bring it over here, you'll notice that this part of the circular attachment is covering the opening where the needle goes. So you're going to place it right in that hole. And then you're going to put this screw in here. And with the attachment, you get this screwdriver that fits, that little, goes right in there. I love this screwdriver. It's like it doesn't slide out as you're trying to screw it in place. I'm going to continue to tighten that. There it goes. So that part's done. So now, I'm going to take my piece of fabric. Now this is my own personal choice, that besides my fabric, I am going to use stabilizer. And this will go for, using stabilizer will be when you're doing any kind of decorative stitch work, besides embroidery. With my fabric though, I have fused on an interfacing, and it's called Easy Knit. I really like this because when I use it, it gives my fabric some body, but it's still soft. So if you were going to put this into a quilt or a garment, it's not going to give it too much stiffness that it would be rigid. It's going to be still nice and soft. So I'm going to take my fabric and put it on top of my stabilizer. Now I'm going to thread my machine here, and when you're using threads, play with all the decorative threads. There are embroidery threads, threads that are variegated. Just threading my needle. Right now I am on the Bernina 770 from Cafe. And on here, this one screws in. There's other companies that have a stitch plate, circular attachments. Some snap in. Some of them are screw-in, but now here, the other ones from the other companies, there's a hole here, and you put your push pin through here, and it goes down into that hole. Where Bernina has it, that it's in reverse. So now I would figure out where I want my circle to be and the center, and I would bring that pin or point needle up, and then take this little cover and put it right over the needle. Now when you go to stitch, first you have to decide how big you want your circle to be, and underneath this piece here is going to make this move. So you have to decide how big you want your circle. So and don't use this to push it back and forth. Reach underneath and push on the black piece that's underneath. So now as I move this in, I have a smaller circle. If I move this all the way out, I have a huge circle. So you have to decide on how big you want your circle to be. I'm just going to move it into about here. Also, in my bobbin, you don't have to worry about matching your top thread. I just like to wind it in white thread. Nobody's going to see underneath, and it's decorative stitch work. And I also like to use the open toe foot. So as it's stitching, I can see what's going on as it's traveling. Because if you have one of the other feet that have the bar across, you can't see exactly what's going on. But I've chosen the 20C foot, or you can have a 20 foot. And there's also a 20D, but I like the open toe. Now I'm going to pick a stitch. I'm going to come in. You can pick your plain straight stitch, or you could pick the cross stitch, But I'm going to go into the Decorative Stitch menu, and let's see, I'm going to try this menu, and let's see, I like that stitch. You got to learn to experiment and don't be afraid. I'm going to put the presser foot down, and I'm going to start to stitch. How fast you're going to go is going to be a preference of how comfortable you feel with your machine. I would not go full speed ahead, because as you do, even if I'm going slow, sometimes it has a tendency to start puckering. You want to have it at a decent speed that as it's going, you can keep smoothing it out. And here we go. So now I'm going to do this decorative stitch. And as you do your circles, you could do them all over a piece of fabric. As you do them, don't think about just keeping one color thread. Change your colors so that you have all different color circles, and change your stitches. Pick different stitches. Just don't pick the same one. And when you do each circle. So now we're going to go all the way around. Now this particular stitch is very, very close, and it's going to be very timely. So just to save time, I'm going to switch over to another stitch that it won't take quite as long. Let's see, I'm going to try, oh, there's so many. Which one should I choose? Oh no, now this is a perfect example. This would not work well, because what's going to happen is the fabric is going to start moving left and right, and with the pin here and it's moving, you will not get a nice stitch. So don't even go near that one. Let's see this one. See, this is still too wide. So I'm going to go back to my menu selection, and I'm going to see if there's another stitch that might work better. Let's see this one. Let's give it a try. It's all about experimenting and not being afraid to try it. Oh, this one's working nice. I love this. Oh, is this pretty? I'm going to stop so that you can see what it looks like. You can use your cutter on this. It's going to raise the foot. There's my stitches. Isn't that nice? So now I'm going to come around and think about this. If I had gone all the way around and I wanted to put another circle in here, all I would have to do is move this in, and I'd get another circle parallel with this one on the inside, closer in. So I'm going to pick another stitch. I'm going to come back and pick this cross stitch. Let's see how this one will work. Now this one is going to be a smaller circle because I moved the attachment, I moved this part in closer to the foot. Oh, this is nice too. This is real nice. And just remember, keep smoothing it out to keep it nice so that you don't get any puckers. Look at this. Isn't that cool? Now when you do come back to where you started, the odds of it connecting to this one perfectly are very slim. But don't worry about it, because if somebody starts examining your quilt or your project that closely, they're looking to find something. Don't worry about it. Just let it overlap a little bit, and the odds are of somebody ever noticing that you let it overlap, that it didn't connect perfectly, is not a big deal. Oh, not too bad. All right, I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to cut. Pull my tail out. There we go. So you got to learn to experiment. Another one that I want to show you, say you wanted a half a circle that was this way. You would take your cover off the pin. Now you would take the pin and put it here. And you would measure the distance that you knew it was going to be exactly center of where you want it. And I'm going to put this little cover back on there. Then when you're going to start, you want to start on the edge of the fabric. If I did not have my stabilizer extending out the back, it might not grab the end of the fabric here quite as nicely as I'd like it. So I have my stabilizer extending out. But now I'm going to pick another stitch. Let's see, which one should I pick? Oh, here's another one. Let's try this. Okay, so now, so see, I can start right at the edge of my fabric because I have my stabilizer extending out. And another thing I should mention is your tails of thread. If you have long tails, trim them, because as this moves around, the tails could get caught into the circular attachment piece, and then it wouldn't move well. So if you have long tails underneath, trim them each time. So now I'm getting a half a circle. Trim that, but I'll put it back there. You could do this with applique work, making circles of applique circles. For instance, you would do the same process, but pick a straight stitch. Put 2 layers of fabric down, and then you would do the straight stitch all the way around. After it's done, you would take the fabric out, and you would trim away the excess fabric. Then go right back, put the push pin back where it belongs, and then you would start right where you left off before, and then you would go and program your machine to do a satin stitch, and then do the satin stitch over the straight stitch. Or if your decorative stitch is on the wide side and has a lot of stitches in it, you might not notice the straight stitch that was underneath, and then you could pick other stitches besides satin stitch. So now I did a half a circle, boy. Okay, so that one's done. Now what if you want to do a quarter of a circle? You're going to put your pin through a corner. Keep it nice and flat. Slide my stabilizer underneath. And you'd pick another stitch, like I said. But right now, I'm just going to keep going with the same one. So now I'm going to get a quarter of a circle. Idea. If I wanted to put another quarter of a circle, I would readjust this and I could do one closer in. You might end up sometimes getting too close and then it wouldn't move well. So you'll have to make your own determination when you go to do it. Now I got my quarter circle. With this quilt, this was the very first circular attachment quilt I did. And what I had was I had very large pieces of each of these fabrics. And I did circles all over them, changing the stitch, type of stitch, the colors. And I did random circles everywhere. Then I took those big pieces of the fabrics and I cut them into squares, and then I reassembled them in a nice, pleasant look. Now, if you notice, when you're looking at this, you're not going to see a full circle because I cut it off here. But what is kind of funny is the other part of this circle or another circle that I did a part of is going to be somewhere else in the quilt. So it's really adds such movement. And here you have plain pieces of fabric, and you created actually a new piece of cloth. So I love doing this stuff. So now that we did the circles today, I hope you enjoyed the class, and I hope to see you again on another class. Bye.